Hi there, my name is Andrea, and this is High Literature, a program where I talk about books and comics and art and stories and share them with you, the viewer. I have been doing videos going over Life Drawing by Jaime Hernandez. It's the newest Love and Rockets edition, and we're going to keep going. So as I've been saying before, it's this, like the series has, it's kind of shifted in a sense where the focus isn't just completely like revolved around the Hoppers crew that we have been reading about over the decades, and it's become more centered around the younger generation characters, Donta and her wacky family. Now Vivian is one of her older half sisters, who's she's been, I mean, she's not like an OG Hoppers character, but she has been around for a little while. She showed up at the towards the end of, when did I first start reading about the Frogmail? Yeah, it was towards the end of Locust 2. And that was, golly, like 2009 or something like that. Oh, how the time flies. But yeah, so the story, the series has been, I don't want to say departing from the older characters, but it's just been like introducing younger characters more and more. And so we have this newest book, and it does open with Angel, but then it goes right into Tanta. And it isn't until we get to page 31 that we see Hopi. And so, and it's very brief. Hopi, like, it's just a few pages. And then after the Hopi segment finishes, it moves into, goes back to one of the Tonto universe characters, Frank Lopez. He just got his ass handed to him, and he's saying, you can't even say hi to a chick anymore. And you find out that, so he's walking, talking to himself. Oh my God, I've never seen a more pissed off bunch of dudes. And I hope Aunt Looseness doesn't see me like this. But Aunt Looseness sees him. And this is the first time that we meet Aunt Looseness. Now, we met Frank Lopez, and I want to say Tanta is the first time that we've come across Frank's character. And he's a high school friend of Tanta's. And I love this part because it's such a, it's like this little segue into the lives of the not so main characters. And I just love that. It was something that I like. It kind of reminds me of like the Tarantino, like Pulp Fiction movie, where, like, the story's told out of sequence. And it's not so much that this is told out of sequence. I just really liked that about that movie, because you saw the same story from different perspectives, and in that it would change the nature of the story or the meaning of the story. And even though it's the same story, but you're seeing it from different points of view, and it changes things. And that's what I love about this part. It provides insight into different characters that aren't the main characters. And I just love that Jaime gives these other characters that kind of attention. And there's this one part where they're talking about, so we meet this character, Judy Fair, and she is a friend of Tonto's, and she's dressed up as a superhero. And it turns out that they're getting ready. She's going to go to a convention with Tonto. And Frank asks Tonto if she's still mad at me. And Judy says, I don't call her that, and neither should any of you. It's disrespectful. Because for those of you who don't know, Tonto is Spanish for stupid. And so Judy's like chastising Frank Lopez about calling Tonto Tonto. And then Frank runs into them later as they are getting picked up. Judy gets picked up to go with Tonto to the comic convention. And you see, let's see here. Sorry, it's backwards for me. So here's Vivi looking bored, and there's Tonto, and she's calling Frank Lopez an oaf. And he starts to call her Tonto, and then he corrects himself and calls her Anush, which is her name. And that just immediately makes her angry. And she says, don't call me that, Frank Lopez. And later on, there's this whole discussion between Judy and Tonto that we'll get to later, where she's talking about her name and how she doesn't want to be called Anush, and call me Tonto, and we'll get to that part later. But it's just it's funny seeing that exchange between Judy and Frank, where she's chastising him, and then it turns out it's not something that Tonto cares about at all. And what she does care about is, don't call her Anush, don't call her by her given name. And what else goes on here? And I was thinking about how it probably seems like there's not a linear story being told. I was imagining being a viewer who is not familiar with this series, watching these videos, and it was kind of funny to me thinking gosh, it probably seems like there's not an actual storyline going on. And in a way, you're kind of right if you're thinking that, but and what I mean by that is it's such a big story. When you think about your own day-to-day life, and how if somebody, if you were to pop in with someone and just give them a quick account of your daily life, it doesn't seem very linear story-wise. It seems kind of random when you're looking at it close like that. But then when you pull out and look at the big picture, it does tell a whole story. So if it seems like there's not a comprehensive story going on, I understand why you feel that way. But believe me, there's a big picture. There's a bigger thing going on than you believe, than how it appears. And so, and I want to say that because it does seem like we're bouncing around, we're going from Tonto and Angel, and then it goes to Hopi, and now we're talking about Frank, and it's just where what are we doing? Where are we going? But it does all pull together. And when I say pull together, I'm not saying there's this big reveal at the end or anything. It's just when you see it as a whole, it does make sense. And that's kind of how life is, you have these little moments that don't seem like they connect, But when you pull out and look at the whole piece, it does. There are things that connect it with each other. And this particular Frank Lopez segment is a great demonstration of that. It seems something that's so removed from this world, but then, like, I remember when I first read this, I kept going back to this part and like making connections, like this character is that character and this character is that person's sister and that person's friend, and it's just, it's kind of like, like when you're hanging out with friends, like, and you meet friends of their friends, and it's like, oh, okay, oh, you know that person, I didn't know that you knew that person. And it's how it feels when you're reading this series. It's very different from your conventional, like, everyday comic book series. I guess that's why they call it slice of life. These are the slice of life comics, you guys. And yeah, it's an interesting little segment here. And then at the end of this segment, the next story that it goes into, it's one page and one page only. We're on page 41 now. So the first time we hit Hopi is on page 31, and now we're finally hitting Maggie on page 41. It's one page, and there's no dialogue, there's no there's nothing, nobody says anything. It's just this inner monologue of Ray kind of spiraling about the punk rock reunion gig that Maggie went to with Hopi. And he didn't go for various reasons that we'll talk about when we dive into that book. But yeah, we get to Maggie. It's first time seeing her in this graphic novel, and there's no. It's just It's just Ray neurotically torturing himself over Maggie and Hopi. It's so sad. Poor thing. But it's okay. They figure it out. They work it out. And then we go after that. So Judy Fair is she's all dressed up. She's going to go cosplay with Tonta and all the other geeks at the comic show. So now we're at the comic show, and oh my god, you guys, Gomez is cosplaying as Olive Oil. I love it. I've seen one person dress up as Olive Oil. It was for a company. It was like this holiday, like Halloween work thing. I was working at the Ex Libris art supply and textbook store for SCAD, and it was Halloween, and everybody got dressed up, and one of the women, she dressed up as Olive Oil. And that's it. That's the only time I've ever seen anybody dress up as Olive Oil. And when I saw this, I was just like, oh, it made me so happy. And so we're at this comic convention, and it's just a bunch of nerding out, just a bunch of nerds being a bunch of nerds, and I love it. She's cosplaying as Cheetah Torpedo, and she forgot her boots, so she's Cheetah and Chucks. She's not happy about it, as you can see. And so they're at this convention, and Tonta finds out that Gomez is going to be leaving for college. Like, if you recall, they kind of got into a fight about it during the Forest Spirit segment with Vivian. Gomez is going to college, Tonta's not, and there's some feelings there about that, and it's just kind of heartbreaking. because also, so she's finding out that Gomez is gonna be leaving. She was like, I gotta go. And she was like, you're going now? What about the Black Widow dinner? And Gomez says, I'm leaving at 4:30 in the morning. I still got a lot of packing. And then she just kind of pauses, and they just have this moment of silence where they're just looking at each other, and you could just see like their hearts are breaking when they realize this is it. This is goodbye. And that's here, like, oh yeah, I gotta go. And she's like, what are you talking about? We still gotta do the Black Widow dinner. And like, well, I gotta get up really early. I still got a lot to pack. And then it's like, oh shit, we're about to not ever see each other again for a long time. And it's just so sad. Now, this Black Widow dinner. So Judy Fair, she's like, what's Black Widow dinner? I heard Anush, because she calls her, she thinks that calling her Tanta is disrespectful. I heard Anush and her other sister, Viv, talking about it. That's what they call their mom. Their mom? Haven't you ever heard of the Black Widow of the Valley? The lady who was accused of killing off 2 of her husbands, but got off clean? And so Judy's figuring out, like, she's putting pieces together. And so, as it turns out, there's supposed to be like this family dinner. And the kids call it the Black Widow dinner. And Tanta's finding out that, like, one by one, all of the sisters are canceling. And so she's griping now. This name is so hard to pronounce. Muñeca. No Muñeca, no Vivi, no Violet, no Ish. Great family dinner, just me and my mom. Not even Trader Gomez for moral support. She's so hurt Gomez isn't coming. And Judy Fair's like, I'll go with you. And then Tanta's like, you will? Why? And Judy, she has the best response. She goes, I'm hungry. Ain't eating all day. That's a great excuse to go to a dinner. She's like, I'm hungry. Why not? So they're getting ready to leave, and Tanta turns to one of the girls asking, you know, what are you going to be doing? And she's like, kind of like hemming and hawing if she wants to like give her costume back to a friend. Because when they went to this convention, they met up with other kids from like the comic book club. And Tanta's like, she's just gonna boss you around and make you put it back on again and blah blah blah. And Gwen's like feeling kind of crestfallen. She's like, we've known each other since nursery school. We had the same hair. She still has that hair. And Tanta's laughing at her, and she's like, why go far away to college if you guys are just gonna be like little crybabies? To which the Gwen replies, aren't you gonna miss Gomez? And Tanta did not like being called out about that. Yeah, she likes to dish it out, but she doesn't like admitting she has feelings too. She's very sad that Gomez is leaving. So they go to this dinner, and it's just Tanta and Judy. And as Tanta's going around trying to find her mom, there's this moment where Judy sees a family portrait on the wall, and she's asked her, this your family? And Tanta says, yeah, it was taken at the last family dinner. I was like 10. And then she goes, check it out. Pretty, pretty, pretty Tanta. That's right here. So there's Judy pointing out the family portrait, and Tanta pointing out that every single member of the family is pretty except her. And then she goes on trying to find her mom, and she finds her and scares the crap out of her. So mom pops out, sees this strange woman dressed up as a superhero, doesn't look too happy about it, but then Tanta's like, there you are, Mom, and scares the dickens out of her mom. And so then the mom's like kind of ragging on her. Did you pick that particular outfit for the new portrait? And Tanta's like, no, we were at a convention and somebody stole my street clothes and it's cosplay and blah, blah, blah. And, and the mom says, we'll just have to pose you in the back again. And Tanta, she's just, at this point, she's just so used to it. She just, doesn't faze her. And she just rolls right into, so when's dinner? We're starved. To which the mom replies, eat a tortilla. And Tanta's like, what about slow chicken surprise? And the mom goes, not until the other guests arrive. And we know none of the other guests are arriving. So it's very strange. They're sitting at this dinner. It's Tanta, Judy, and the Black Widow. And it's just a very awkward experience. And Judy's wondering what the hell she got herself into. But at the same time, like she's not regretting it. It's kind of it's an eye-opening experience for her. She's learning about Tanta in ways that she never even considered. And then the photographer shows up, and it's an interesting scene where, so like Frank Lopez, so he gets beat up like really bad. Like at one point he's wondering, he's like, oh my God, I hope they didn't stab me. And it turns out, so Aunt Luceness, she goes, I told you to stop hanging around those Claxton boys. And Frank Lopez says, all I said was their sister was looking good. She was all dressed up for a prom or something. And then later when they're talking about Tanta and Vivian, Frank Lopez says, Vivi's always mad at me too. And Judy's like, you're probably disrespecting her too, after she chastised him for disrespecting Tanta by calling her Tanta instead of Anush. And Frank's like, how could I? I'm always telling her how hot, how beautiful. Oh, fuck it. And he's just like, I can't win. And then here we are again with Judy. And this photographer shows up to do this family portrait with a family that's not there. And this photographer is just a lech. Is making, like, he's just all over Judy, making Judy pose and like, oh, let me take all these pictures of you, and oh, what's your name, and what's your last name? Yeah, what's your last name? And Judy turns and says, I ain't got one. And Tanta says, she does, so it's Fair. And then Judy goes, Fair's my middle name. And yeah, it's just so interesting, like this person, Stefanino is her name. Stefanino is hot for Judy and does not try to hide it. And it's just interesting, like, seeing this contrast. Like, we have this guy, and he compliments this girl who's all dressed up for prom or whatever, and gets his ass handed to him. And then it gets pointed out to him later that he was also being disrespectful to Vivian by always telling her how hot she is. And then we have this other situation here with Judy just getting, Looney Tunes, awooga eyes drooled on by this woman. And it's just funny, like, how this plays out later, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I feel bad for poor Frank Lopez. He got beat up so bad. So the dinner ends strangely. The photographer arrives, And the mother gets up to fix Stefanino a plate, but she never comes back. So Tanta goes looking for her. She's like, Mom, where are you? Mom, can't find you. Oh, found her. What's going on? So she won't tell the lech her last name. And Tanta says to Judy, did you say all that so she wouldn't stalk you? And Judy says to Tanta, did you tell us your mama went to bed so she wouldn't stalk me? And Tanta goes, no, she really did. She's weird. But it don't mean those Black Widow stories are true. And Judy says, I'll believe what you want me to believe, Anush. And Tanta says, don't call me that, and I won't bug you about your last name. And Judy says, it's true, Tanta. Okay. It don't have to mean stupid, I guess. And Tanta says, maybe your last name could be Tanta. And Judy says, okay, now you stupid. And it's just really sweet how we just kind of see this arc, with Judy and her perception of Tanta, and how she goes from like lecturing Frank Lopez and you're being disrespectful and don't call her that, and then lecturing him about, don't be disrespectful, you're calling women hot and da-da-da. And then she gets into this situation where she's got this, not a man, but a woman just like really just coming on strong and making her very uncomfortable. And then seeing the family dynamic and the way, and hearing how her mother would like talk to her, and I guess we'll just have to put you in the back again, and the like nonchalant way Tanta was like, oh, pretty Tanta. Because a lot of the time, like, somebody can act like they're so tough about something, but that it actually really hurts. And I think Judy recognizes that Tanta, she's carrying a lot of family pain. And when you consider the fact that Vivian is one of her I mean, my God. And it's really cool. I love these little asides that happen within the Love and Rockets world, because it's a reminder that there's no main character. You're only, everybody's the main character of their own story. Everybody, we all have in our heads who main characters are. And the way it works in stories, the main characters are the ones that, the ones that get focused on the most. And it's just really cool how Jaime will have these little asides showing different things going on with different characters in a way that really just broadens your perception of this world. And I think it's very thoughtful of him, and I wish more people wrote like that, because the side characters don't have to always be side characters. They're important too. And so, yeah, that's it for now. I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Bye.